Thank you for inviting me here today. I am Martha's mum. I rarely hear that these days, so I say it very proudly in these moments. Being a parent without a child is a strange legacy, but one where I have found my voice, and on behalf of my precious Martha, I tell my story in order to prevent anyone else from getting the phone call that I got. So who was Martha? Well, she was wondering that too as she reached her 15th birthday and was starting to rebel, as many teenagers do. But to me, she was my reason, my purpose, and the centre of my world. But I did get the phone call. And on the 20th of July 2013, after swallowing half a gram of ecstasy powder that turned out to be 91% pure, Martha died within 3 hours. And I've been told that what she took was enough for 5 to 10 people. My identity felt as though it was wiped away on that fateful day as I stood beside my girl who was no longer and declared to the world that I'm not a mum anymore. Exactly 15 years and 9 months earlier, I had given birth to Martha in that very same hospital. In that moment, I looked around in disbelief at the barren landscape of my life, and the words, "I have a future and I have a life," came into my head. They were loud and they were clear, and I have no explanation for that, but I have taken great comfort in them ever since. A new mantra at the core of me and the seed of hope that I needed in order to carry on alone. Now, I am the type of person that doesn't even take a headache pill, but in that moment, I screamed out for medication as I needed to numb myself into oblivion from the agony. I was given diazepam, which some of you will know as Valium, in order to help me cope, and I'm very grateful for that vital support. I stopped taking Valium the day after Martha's funeral, some 6 weeks after her death, as I knew I couldn't stay comfortably numb forever. But I was lucky enough to have friends and family to take care of me as I scrambled around in the fog of early bereavement, trying to piece my life back together. But I've often wondered what I would have done if that support wasn't available to me. Where would I have turned? Who knows? But there are many others like me who also need support to help them through difficult times in their lives in order to numb whatever it is their pain is caused by. When you live beyond your worst fear actually happening, you'd like to think that you're invincible and that nothing can ever hurt you again. But every time I hear the news that another teenager has died, it hits me. But what hurts the most is in knowing that their deaths were preventable. We all know that laws are in place to help keep us safe. Therefore, if the experts are recommending a need for change, and if the statistics are showing that deaths are increasing year after year, then surely we should change them. But I am well aware as to how politics work. It's a power and popularity contest where the truth is often ignored and avoided, so I feel very rude saying that. But I don't actually have the luxury of being able to hide from the truth. Because every day I wake up, the very first second jolts me as the realisation of Martha's absence sinks in. My truth as I stand here before you as a mother without a child is that the 1971 Misuse of Drugs Act isn't fit for purpose. It doesn't serve me well, it does not serve any of you well, and it certainly did not serve to protect my precious Martha. Martha attended one of the best schools in Oxford and was at the stage in her adolescence whereby she was getting a little bit more freedom, and with that she was discovering new things. As a parent, you talk to your children and try to help them navigate through each stage in their development, hoping that they'll see sense and not put themselves in the way of danger. But Martha and her friends got to see things that I never did when I was their age. She got exposed to things I never experienced in my adolescence. These are very different times, and there are very different dangers nowadays to what there were when I was growing up. Yet we are still governed by the very same laws introduced some 47 years ago. Now, no responsible parent wants to think of their child taking drugs, but I believe that had Martha taken something that was legally regulated, labelled with recommended dosage and a list of ingredients, she would not have swallowed enough for 5 to 10 people in one go, and she'd still be alive today. After all, the difference between poison and medicine is dose. Martha loved life. But like every single person in this room, she took risks. But everyone here is lucky enough to live to tell the tale, and we all have the luxury of being able to look back at our younger selves and wonder how we are still standing despite our journey to this very point. I've visited many schools since Martha died, and most teenagers seem truly baffled by the mixed messages they receive. They're told drugs are bad and not to take them, yet they know they can all get their hands on them so very easily. How I wish I'd known then what I know now about drug policy. But by telling my story, hopefully others can learn and engage with this important subject, as every one of us here can play our part in contributing to this important dialogue in order to create the change that is so urgently needed. When the police returned Martha's school bag, a few weeks after she died, it contained her empty shoes, which I brought with me here today. They're a poignant symbol of her absence. In my way of saying, there's no one to fill them. But I will continue the journey on behalf of my precious girl and take the steps she is unable to. I believe modern society needs something else, and it certainly isn't about giving prohibition any more time to work. It doesn't work. It has never worked. No dangerous substance is made safer by leaving it unregulated on the black market. Now I want to read you the following headline. Girl 15 dies from taking unknown substance. This headline isn't about Martha. It's from yesterday, as another precious child lost her life in Tavistock, and a 14-year-old boy found with her is still fighting for his life. We don't need any more evidence, and we don't need any more lives to be sacrificed. I don't want to hear any more arguments in support of prohibition, and over I hear the same debates on TV and radio, the moral argument, the stigma, the finger pointing, and I'm so tired of it. So much talk and so little progress, and more deaths every single day. Somebody's daughter and somebody's son, and more pairs of empty shoes. But I live in hope that your children and your grandchildren will not inherit the rusty shackles of outdated laws, and this will ensure that they too can share my sentiment and declare, I have a future and I have a life. Thank you.